Hey, tervetuloa. Welcome to another episode of the International Business from Finland podcast with me, Mark Wiltshire, where I take you behind the scenes of my solo enterprise, or toiminimi in Finnish, working with directors and business owners of Finnish companies, sharing your workload so that you can focus on growing your business. In episode 5 of this podcast, which was titled B2B Sales with Simple Content Marketing, I talked about content marketing work that companies can do to support their sales work. This was based on work that I'd been doing during the first quarter of 2020, and then of course the world was hit by the coronavirus, and my work was agreed, in place, and my time was scheduled, but I did stop to think, should we continue prospecting during the coronavirus lockdown period? The International Business from Finland podcast with Mark Wiltshire. Talking international sales, entrepreneurship, and making connections between Finnish companies, entrepreneurs, and workers migrating to Finland. My initial concern was, could it be perceived as insensitive to start the sales process at this time? People's lives have been disrupted. Everyone's lives have been disrupted to varying degrees. And then in a short email exchange with one of my customers, they said, quote, "Shall we proceed due to Corona? I think there's no need to send letters in this situation." And at first I thought, are they putting the whole project on hold? Actually, it was just one small aspect of the work, which was sending material through the postal service, that they wanted to delay. But it made me think, though. This particular customer manufactures consumer products, and we were approaching professional buyers in the USA with a range of seasonal products. Even if these buyers were working at home, I thought, they are still working, and they should be thinking about winter 2020. If they need this product, then they still need to place orders, and someone will be doing this work. Now, that was my rationale as I started to do this prospecting work during March 2020. Work that would involve connecting with people on LinkedIn, sending direct emails and follow-up LinkedIn messages with product info and links to content in order to find those engaged buyers and activate them to want to talk to us, perhaps leading to an online meeting. And an online meeting is now a much more familiar scenario to people who are keeping their social distance. So in my particular example, I was curious to see what response I'd get from these buyers. Would they be receptive to new product proposals, or had I misjudged things completely? Here are some of the replies that I received, and I'm going to quote these to you. Quote, "The team and I have been furloughed and will be out of office for at least the next 30 days, returning mid-May. Please note we have no access to work email or systems while out. We will respond to your request upon return." End quote. Quote, "In light of the COVID-19 pandemic, we're working with a reduced staff at our home office. If your inquiry requires immediate attention, please contact," then there was a name of an alternative contact. Quote, "Mark, good timing. Working on the 2020 winter programme as we speak. Please email me pricing and a digital catalogue. I have a couple of quick questions about products and pricing." Quote, "Good morning, Mark. We're in the midst of a total stores shutdown and pandemic. Why don't you put me in the calendar for a mid-June email to discuss further? We need the dust to settle around here a bit first." And the final one. "Thank you for your inquiry. At this time, due to COVID-19, we're cancelling orders with many vendors and not looking at new products. Feel free to check back after 6 months." So quite a mix of responses. Some are not working, others are working at home, but maybe not as responsive because they're covering for their colleagues. Some are not buying or even cancelling orders, while others are actively planning their winter range. So complete range of responses. They were very matter of fact, explaining their situation, but nobody was upset that I'd made contact, even if they were not yet ready to engage. If you listen back to the previous episode, episode 8, you'll hear my conversation with Stephen Smith from the lead generation company in the UK, as well as giving us his expert tips on prospecting for new customers in the UK, the title of the show. He also said that the fact that people are working at home has actually created opportunities. After 8 weeks of lockdown, there's starting to become a little bit more positivity, and some companies are actually starting to make purchases again. Also, people who have been working at home for a long time are now more willing to take calls in an attempt to stay connected with the outside world, and potential barriers to prospecting are being removed. In some cases, it's easier to make direct contact with company executives. He agreed that people are much more accepting of a video call for the first meeting. Maybe currently a video call may even be preferable to a face-to-face meeting. You know, I'd actually started writing this episode before I happened to make contact with Stephen again after a couple of years. It was reassuring to hear that his thoughts matched my own experiences. So should we continue prospecting? In the past few weeks, I found my workload to be a little lighter than I'd hoped, so I decided to focus on searching for new customers in Finland for my company. If you're reading this because I've connected with you recently, then welcome. I hope you find this useful somehow. Not everyone has responded, and not everyone is interested in what I'm offering, but nobody's been offended at receiving a sales approach. So my conclusion is we should continue to make these connections, keep trying to find new opportunities, but tread carefully. Be aware that some people, especially overseas, are in a worse situation than most of us are in Finland. So as usual on podcasts, I'm going to ask you to rate and review this show, but I'll make it easier for you. Head over to a website called ratethispodcast.com/Wiltshire. You can leave a review and a rating for this podcast. Exactly what you'd expect from a website called Rate This Podcast. Also, if you found it useful, interesting, entertaining, thought-provoking, whatever adjective you choose, then feel free to buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Wiltshire. Yes, I'm British. I do drink tea, but I drink a lot more coffee, like most people here in Finland. So what better way to show your appreciation than throwing a few strong espressos in my direction? And if you want to contact me, feel free to reach out at mark.wiltshire.tmi@gmail.com. Your email comes directly to me. You also find my website, markwiltshire.com. As always, thanks to Mark from the marvellous Dodo Bones for the theme music. You'll find a link to their website, dodobones.co.uk, in the show notes. And that's it for now. So until the next episode, goodbye.